Hi everybody, I'm packing, but I'm packing camera equipment. I'm not packing clothes. I've already done that. They are in the car because we are leaving in about 45 minutes. And I am so excited because we are going to Kennedy Space Center. We're going to leave today, spend the night, tour the Kennedy Space Center tomorrow because we've never been there. It's in northern Florida, and we are going to watch the Falcon 9 Crew 10 launch tomorrow. And lucky us, we discovered there's a second launch later in the evening of a Starlink. So we're going to Kennedy Space Center to see the Falcon 9 Crew 10, and then we are going to see the Starlink launch at the beach. We're going to drive back to our hotel and watch it on the beach. I am so excited to see this because generally we see them from our driveway. We're not that far from Kennedy Space Center, but we're pretty far south, and by the time those rockets reach our location, they are pretty high in altitude, so we just see a tiny rocket. But we have watched the boosters detach, and then we come back in the house and you can watch them land, and that's pretty exciting if you're into that kind of thing. And I am taking a ton of equipment that I hope I can use it all. I'm not sure. We've never done this before, but I have been reading about what you can and cannot take. And so I am taking, if you're interested, I'm taking my G7X, and I have a tripod for that. It's a collapsible tripod, and it's about, if I extend it all the way out, I'm going to say 4 to 5 feet tall. And I'm going to take the batteries and battery chargers. I'm taking my EOS 80D camera and another tripod that's much sturdier than this one, because we are going to be in the feel the heat seats, which are as close as is safe. And I'm so excited about this because they say, see this really bright lights and you feel the rumble. You can actually feel it. So I will let you know because I'm taking you with me, and we're going to tour around the Kennedy Space Center, and then they take you from the Kennedy Space Center on a bus. If you're interested in doing this, go on nasa.gov and you can see when the launches are and how to get the tickets for this. I believe you have to make a reservation for the bus, but check and make sure. And if I find that information for you, I'll link it below, and then you can read through it and schedule it for whenever you're going to be in the area. So they take you to as close as you can get to the launch center, but I don't know. I think it's like 3.9 miles from the actual launch. And it also depends on the size of the rocket they're using. If it's a huge rocket like the one they're going to use for the Mars launch in 2026, I believe you have to be much farther away than we're going to be for this launch. But I have, what did I say? I'm taking my G7X, I'm taking tripods, I'm taking the other Canon EOS 80D, I'm taking my cell phone because you can always grab that in an emergency and take a picture of whatever. Who knows what we're going to see. And I have all this other equipment that I probably don't need. 2 or 3 lenses, but I don't know if I'm going to haul all this there. We are going to find out. I don't know what to expect, so I'm just prepared for everything. Who knows? So I'm going to put this in the car, and we're going to go to Kennedy Space Center, and I will show you as much as I can take video of. I'm sure there are areas you cannot video. I'm sure there are areas that I don't even think you'd be interested in. I worry that it's spring break and there's going to be a million kids there, but we'll see. It's not spring break here, but it's spring break in other parts of the country, and they come to Disney World to visit Disney World, and then of course it's just a skip over to the Kennedy Space Center. So if you were taking your children to Disney World, you could just hop over there and get a bonus tour of the Kennedy Space Center and see the launch. I believe we've toured most of the amusement areas in Florida, and the secret to all of it is planning ahead. So this is no different. So let's pack up the car and go to the Kennedy Space Center. Here we are at the Kennedy Space Center, and you'll be so glad you wore a comfortable pair of shoes, because there's a lot of walking and there's a lot of standing in line.
Into space through our launch services program. This all culminates in our ultimate mission, the Artemis program, where NASA will return to the moon, this time with the first woman and first person of color, and continue on to Mars. In all our history, there's been one common theme woven throughout our DNA. It's our insatiable desire to explore beyond our home planet.
Choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3.
We're standing under the Apollo Saturn V, the largest rocket ever flown.
The launch tonight. This is a Crew 10 launch, SpaceX, heading to the ISS, the International Space Station. And a little update at 4:30.
Update coming to the crew no later than T-minus 1 hour. A good view of those clamp
to
arms.
figure out if they can proceed with the launch. In other words, they're given that final go-ahead. They're waiting and wait for about another 21 minutes. So at the 39-minute mark is when they'll make that decision. And at that point, they'll decide we still have an issue or we don't have an issue. We're good to continue. At the 3-second mark, that liftoff will be at 0. At mark, that's 8 minutes, 26 seconds from now.
Well, what a disappointment. We were having the best time at Kennedy Space Center, and we went to the launch area, and 38 minutes before launch time, the mission was scrubbed. So it was so disappointing to see everybody getting so excited, and the anticipation was really building. And they have an announcer that describes everything that's going on, what to expect and when to expect it. But once it was scrubbed, everybody just quietly got up and left. Everyone was so disappointed, but we had 2 other launch times that we could see this particular mission. And the next one was the next day. The following day was Thursday, and the second available time for them to launch was Friday evening. Well, we were going to stay until Friday, so we had Thursday night. We could have seen the second possible launch, but they decided to do it Friday. And so we came back home. We had things to do here, and we watched it on television like everybody else. And we even went outside to see if we could maybe see part of the launch, but we did not see it. There were some clouds in the sky, just a bit. But we saw everything else, and we are going back for another launch. Now, the big Mars mission is leaving, supposed to leave in 2026, and I want to try to see that. We were able to watch the Falcon 9 Starlink launch that was scheduled after the Falcon 9 Crew 10 launch. And we watched it from the beach of our hotel, and I will speed up the video so you don't have to watch the full length of it. I believe the full length is 4 minutes, so maybe you can watch it a little bit faster, but realize that it does take a lot longer to arrive at your location than it appears on the video. I will link the information for tours and the entire Kennedy Space Center in the information box below. But when you go into the Kennedy Space Center, be sure and go by the Visitor Center and pick up this map, or you will get a little bit lost, not a lot lost. It's not huge. It's not like Disney World. It's large enough that you'll have to find your way around, but if you have a map, that helps. So the information center is directly on your left when you come in. I'm looking at the map because you can tell this map was used quite a bit. And then you'll walk by the rocket garden, rockets that have been used in the past, this historical rocket. And there are areas for children, play areas. You can actually make arrangements to visit with an astronaut on certain days. So check that out. And I wanted to see the IMAX movie. We did not have time to do that. There is food available, but next time we go, we will eat before we go into the Kennedy Space Center because it's mostly hamburgers, salads, and hot dogs, things like that, but it takes a while. Even though it's set up with a computerized system where you can order your food and pick it up at the front cash register, well, you don't actually use a cash register, you use your credit card on the kiosk, you have to wait a very long time. And that was just a waste of time for us because the food was not that important and we should have eaten before we went. But the one takeaway from this entire visit was that we were told you must take the bus tour to see the, what is the name of this? It's the Apollo Saturn V Center. And you saw from the video that there are very long lines to go over to the Apollo Saturn V Center. Now, it's a don't miss. You don't want to miss it. However, the line was very, very long to go to visit this. We came back by bus from the Saturn V Center and then discovered we had to go directly back to the same general location to see the launch. So we spent a great deal of our day in line and on the bus. So that is a live and learn situation that I'm going to let you in on. If you're going on a launch day, try not to go to Saturn V Center, because when you get there, you can actually go in the Saturn V Center while you're there to see the launch. You do not need to go separately. You don't need to go at separate times during the day. Save yourself the heartache and do that. So that's my one takeaway. Other than the food, unless it just works best in your schedule to be there and have lunch or dinner there, I would just eat before you go to this center, because it's not worth the wait. Now, if you go off season, there's probably not a wait at all, but we had to take into account it's a launch day, it is spring break, the weather was beautiful, everybody was waiting to see this launch, so people were piling in. But if you're going and it's not a launch day, you just want to visit the center, then take your time, especially off season, have lunch there, go in every exhibit they have. I know that this information is on the NASA website, but they have plenty of restaurants. They have places to get ice cream. They have a Starbucks. They have snack areas. They have complete meals. You're not going to have a waiter. You're going to have to pick it up yourself. There are, like I said, ice cream places. There's hot dogs and hamburgers and things like that. It's nothing elaborate at all. And wear comfortable clothes, wear comfortable shoes, and luckily I took thin jackets because it had been a little breezy and a little bit cool because you're on the water. So if it's cool, take a jacket, because as soon as the sun started setting, it got really cool and everybody was running to buy a sweatshirt. That's a good opportunity to have to buy a souvenir if you want one. I hope this has been a bit helpful. I hope you get the opportunity to go and visit the Kennedy Space Center in northern Florida. And if you do, leave me a comment. Let me know what you wouldn't do or what you would do. And did you see a launch? Because we didn't. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you as a subscriber. So tap that subscribe button and the notification bell next to it so that you'll be notified every time I post a video. And you can follow me on Instagram. Bye.